how do venture studios create returns, right? Because investors, they need a cash flow at some point to come back to them. How does that circulate?
So there's really three ways I've seen venture studios provide liquidity to investors. One is selling off some of the equity that they take in the portfolio companies that they build. Right, this is your typical fund return approach. The other is the studio will participate in profit distributions or licensing, or mainly licensing distributions. This is usually more in the medical or tech space, where the portfolio company is using a licensing strategy, and so that capital can be returned much quicker. And then the last one is distributions of profit. This is generally a better fit for studios that are building for private equity, M&A, or just cash flow than venture capital, because distributions of profit usually go against most typical venture capital strategies. But there are studios that are primarily organized around leveraging distributions of profit, and it works really well, and it helps to shorten that return time to investors. And it's a really interesting lever for studios to use, because it does start impacting IRR.
Right.
And I will say there are a couple other strategies you can use. The big ones are early exits.
Right.
So, you don't have to hold on to all of your equity until a company goes public. You can sell off some of that equity earlier, and a studio usually owns a little common, a little preferred. And so you can start being a little bit more strategic about when you divest some of that equity and how that plays out for both the studio returns and the investor returns. Because if the studio is doing its job right, you sell a little of that equity. Now you get to recapitalize the studio and help scale studio operations as well.